Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to act as cosmic detectives to break down 5 profound scientific mysteries that, honestly, continue to stump researchers today. We're going to look at phenomena that completely defy our current understanding of physics. Everything from strange orbs floating right here on Earth to inexplicable signals coming from the absolute deepest reaches of the galaxy.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the ball lightning mystery, unidentified anomalous phenomena, Oumuamua and dark comets, the hunt for Planet 9, and finally, listening to the silent cosmos. We'll be moving progressively outward, starting from Earth's atmosphere and going all the way into the deep interstellar void.
Section 1. The Ball Lightning Mystery and Electrical Anomalies. We're starting our journey right here in Earth's atmosphere, with ball lightning. This is an electrical anomaly so bizarre, it was actually considered folklore for a long time, despite centuries of terrifying accounts.
When you look at the historical sightings, they really prove this bright, floating, and sometimes incredibly destructive orb is a consistent phenomenon. I mean, going as far back as 1753, Professor George Richmond was actually trying to replicate Benjamin Franklin's kite experiment when a fiery blue orb literally crawled down the string and fatally struck him. Wild, right? And then jump to 1963. A highly credible university researcher watched a glowing 20-centimeter sphere calmly float straight down the aisle of a passenger plane.
Well, the really cool part is that scientists are finally creating these anomalies in labs. This proves that ball lightning might actually be a collection of a few different incredible plasma or magnetic phenomena. For instance, Chinese researchers actually caught a natural glowing orb on a spectrometer, and they found it contained vaporized soil components, things like silicon and iron. Meanwhile, quantum physicists have modeled what they call skyrmions. These are basically stable, three-dimensional knots of magnetic fields, and this models exactly how these spheres might pass right through solid matter without losing their shape.
Moving on to Section 2, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, Defying Physics. Expanding our scope just above the atmosphere, we enter the highly debated territory of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or what we call UAPs.
Now take the famous 2004 Nimitz encounter. This event is exactly why the US military completely shifted its tone. We're no longer talking about grainy, out-of-focus footage here. We are looking at highly authenticated, multi-sensor military data of crafts that entirely defy our understanding of physics. 4 trained professional Navy pilots observed this tic-tac-shaped object mirroring their movements. Then, it accelerated at blistering speeds, dropping rapidly from 80,000 to 20,000 feet with absolutely no visible rotors, wings, or exhaust plumes, and it reappeared 60 kilometers away in under a minute.
So the crucial point here is this massive number, 510. By 2022, the Navy had cataloged 510 reports of these unidentified objects. That volume of reports prompted a serious, transparent government investigation to figure out exactly what is flying in our skies. They actually started handing out protocol cards for pilots to keep right there in their kneeboards. They're actively destigmatizing the reporting process so they can finally gather solid, scientific data.
As NASA Chief Bill Nelson notes here, the scientific community is really keeping an open mind. Whether these turn out to be advanced drones from a terrestrial adversary or, something else entirely, we have to let the data lead the investigation. The U.S. government is approaching this totally impartially, reaching out to the broader scientific community to meticulously rule out natural atmospheric events or sensor glitches.
All right, Section 3, Oumuamua and dark comets are interstellar visitors. Leaving Earth's orbit, we enter the inner solar system to examine a very strange visitor that arrived in October 2017. Oumuamua, which actually means first distant messenger in Hawaiian.
Scientists were absolutely baffled when this cigar-shaped rock sped up without the typical dust and gas tail that acts as a natural thruster for comets. Usually, when regular comets warm up near the sun, they release this visible gas that acts kind of like a little rocket engine. But Oumuamua, it accelerated away from our sun at 17 meters per second, and our absolute best telescopes couldn't find a single trace of that expected outgassing.
And this single object sparked a brilliant scientific debate. On one hand, we have Avi Loeb arguing for an artificial alien light sail. On the other hand, Daryl Seligman makes a really compelling case for a completely new class of natural object called a dark comet. Loeb mathematically argues that for solar wind alone to push it, the object would have to be incredibly thin, like less than a millimeter thick, which heavily suggests artificial design. But then Seligman points out that cosmic radiation could trap invisible hydrogen inside water ice, meaning Oumuamua could just be a natural body venting a completely transparent gas.
Just looking impartially at the data, Solomon's theory gained some major ground recently when 6 similar accelerating dark comets were discovered right here in our own solar system. This gives us a massive opportunity to finally test this mystery up close by 2031. Will we find out it's just ice, or is it something more? Well, one of these, a tiny rotating rock named 1998 KY26, is actually going to be visited by the Japanese Hayabusa 2 probe. That means we might very soon have physical proof of exactly how these dark comets propel themselves.
Section 4. The Hunt for Planet 9, a mathematical ghost. Pushing much further out into the dark, freezing edges of our outer solar system, scientists are currently hunting for a ghost which they call Planet 9.
Now, to understand why scientists think another planet is out there, we really just have to look at history. Just as math predicted Neptune before we ever actually saw it, mathematical modeling of clustered objects in the Kuiper Belt is currently predicting a massive 9th planet. Think about it. When astronomers in the 1800s noticed Uranus wasn't behaving according to Newtonian physics, they calculated exactly where another planet had to be pulling on it, and boom, that's exactly how they found Neptune. We are using that exact same playbook today. Astronomers Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin mapped 14 bizarrely clustered objects in the Kuiper Belt, and they deduced with 99.6% certainty that a massive, dark world with a 10,000-year orbit is gravitationally pulling them together. But here's the catch. Because it sits over 350 astronomical units away, which means it's 350 times further from the sun than Earth is, the sunlight out there is incredibly weak. At that massive distance, a planet 5 times the size of Earth would only look as bright as a distant star, meaning this huge world could easily be hiding in plain sight within our existing astronomical data.
Finally, Section 5, listening to the silent cosmos. And the big question, where is everyone? We cast our gaze beyond our solar system entirely, into the interstellar void, wondering if anyone else is actually out there.
With billions of planets sitting in the Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold for life, the physicist Enrico Fermi famously asked, "Where is everyone?" This is the core of the Fermi paradox, the baffling contradiction between the incredibly high probability of alien life existing and the total lack of conclusive evidence that they're there. And this brings us right to the immense technological barriers of cosmic communication. I mean, if even 1% of the habitable planets out there developed intelligent civilizations over the last 13 billion years, our sky should literally be buzzing with signals. But the physical limits of our technology play a huge role here. Because we only invented radio fairly recently, our communication signals have only reached a tiny 60 light-year bubble within a Milky Way galaxy that is 100,000 light-years across. To put that into perspective, because the speed of light is the absolute speed limit of the universe, our cosmic hello simply hasn't traveled far enough for most of the galaxy to even know we exist yet. But what if they have already reached out to us? Take the famous 1977 WOW signal. This was an incredibly powerful, perfectly uniform radio pulse, 30 times more powerful than cosmic background noise, that swept over our Big Ear telescope just once and has never been heard from again. Because the Big Ear telescope relied on the Earth's rotation to scan the sky, it only looked at that specific spot in space for 72 seconds. It's kind of like if a whole orchestra was playing, but we only stayed tuned in long enough to hear a single note.
Ultimately, our job as cosmic detectives is beautifully captured by this quote from Sherlock Holmes. As scientists, we must meticulously eliminate every single natural explanation before accepting the extraordinary. Whether we are dealing with a telescope glitch, a secret military drone, or an invisible venting hydrogen gas, we absolutely have to rule out all terrestrial and natural phenomena first.
The universe is expanding, and so is our understanding, which leaves us with one final thought. As our telescopes sweep the skies and our probes chase dark comets, as we keep eliminating the impossible, what miraculous truth is waiting for us just out of sight? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep your eyes on the skies and keep questioning the impossible.